Mass shootings, gun reform, white supremacy, all at the fore today as Western New Yorkers were front and center at congressional hearings. They looked into the tragedies at the Top supermarket here in Buffalo and the school in Uvalde, Texas. Family members of those who were killed, of the survivors, and those who saw the heartbreaking impact, like police and doctors, told their stories today to lawmakers in, at times, extremely emotional testimony. Their goal is to push for change to federal gun laws, trying to prevent the next mass shooting that at this point seems like an everyday occurrence. First at 5, we shared some of the testimony from Zenitha Everhart of Buffalo. Her son Zaire was shot in the neck and survived. She spoke afterward at this massive rally that was calling for gun control. You can see it took place just feet from the Capitol building.
I am here today before you because I just spoke in front of Congress. And this is a sad situation. It is a hurtful situation, but I'm a fixer, and I believe in fixing problems. And so today I told Congress our problem. We have a gun problem in this country. We have a racism problem in this country.
And Channel 2's Claudine Ewing joins me live right now from inside the Capitol building. And Claudine, a little bit of breaking news that I want to share with you and kind of get your reaction to. You were at the press conference where folks were calling for a resolution to be passed today in the U.S. House, in the building where you are, condemning white replacement theory and the racist attack that we saw here in Buffalo. Moments ago, it did pass. It got the necessary votes for that. And I know you're joined now by someone who was calling for change today there at the Capitol as well.
Exactly. You know, and what you mentioned is something that the people from Buffalo who were at that press conference about condemning this great replacement theory, that is something that they wanted. But as you mentioned, joining me live right now is the commissioner of the Buffalo Police Department. Joe Gramaglia, you were on the hot seat for several hours. What was that like for you?
It's definitely a surreal experience. It was an honor to be asked to testify before the committee, but I know full well that I received that honor because of the absolute racist tragedy that occurred in Buffalo, and I wanted to do my best to speak for the 13 victims in Buffalo. What
was the message you wanted to send? I know you talked about one of the things that was interesting. You talked about some of the surveillance video that's out there and the GoPro video that was on the helmet of this killer.
Seeing what we in law enforcement saw was more than what was put out on the Twitch account. That got cut off at a certain point, but it's something that you can't unsee, and anybody that has not watched that video, I urge you to not seek it out. You can't unsee it, and I thought it was important that that message be conveyed to the members of Congress as to what we in law enforcement saw.
As I sat in that hearing, there was maybe one or two senators or members of Congress, the House, who kind of pushed back at you. What was that about?
I think everyone has to, play to their sides a little bit, and, the unfortunate thing is I don't think they really understand what happens in the cities across America and the gun violence and what the effects are. And so I think that comes out of a lack of really understanding of what's really happening in America.
Talk about what you want to see change.
Well, I'd like to see these reforms adopted, universal background checks, an assault weapons ban. We do not need an assault weapon. As I testified to, that they're known for three things: the speed with which they shoot, how many rounds they shoot, how fast they shoot, and then the amount of bodies that they rack up. And it's terrible. There's no reason to have that weapon. And the NICS checks, the background checks, that's a very important component of this, so we can ensure that people that shouldn't have guns don't get guns. And red flag laws, we're not looking to come into your homes and take your guns. There's a judicial process. There is due process. A judge would have to make a ruling on that, and then you still get another opportunity to prove that you've received help, or whatever the circumstances are. It doesn't take your guns away forever. You have an opportunity to try to get them back, as is a constitutional right.
On the flip side, there are those out there who say, I want an AR-15, I have a right to have it, I should have it, because it's my right.
And what are you going to do with it? That's the question I ask back. You're not going hunting with it. What are you going to do with it? And for somebody who thinks that that's a weapon for home defense, I urge them to seek out experts in the field and get their opinion on what they feel is home defense. Again, if everyone who has a legal right to own a firearm, a weapon, go through the process, and you can obtain that firearm. But I think you also have to be very smart about what you're using for home defense, personal defense.
And I know you had a chance to meet with Senator Schumer. Do you think any action, anything is going to change?
I know they're working hard at it. It was a great opportunity to sit down with Senator Schumer. I was appreciative that he invited us into his office, and we had a brief chat about it. But we got to get through to some people to understand what is happening in the urban areas in this country.
This is where action takes place. It's Washington.
We hope so.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on Channel 2. We appreciate you joining us on the town hall.
Great.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
So you just heard from the commissioner of the Buffalo Police Department. Obviously, he talked about that video from the killer, something that he says nobody wants to see. We did not know about that GoPro video, that GoPro that was on the helmet of the killer at that actual time. We want to also take you to an interview that we also did earlier today with a relative of one of the victims. That victim was Marcus Morrison. He has a cousin. Her name is Dominique. She's very candid about being here, what she heard, what she wants to see done in America with the laws. Listen to our conversation.
I think they will have no choice but to hear us. If they act or not is on them, but that means we're just going to have to call for the people, because at the end of the day, our representatives are only as powerful as we allow them to be. They are elected, which means they can be taken out of office if they cannot represent the people that they claimed they'd be representing. So I hope that listening will create action, but if it's not, we've got a lot of time and a lot of energy to keep reminding them until it happens. And if it doesn't happen in the time we need it to happen in, there's other ways around that, and maybe they just need to choose a different job because they're not doing theirs.
Did you ever foresee yourself being in the halls of Congress, speaking out the way you are now?
Not for a loss in my family. I think it's different when you're supporting someone and like there was this tragedy and I'm going to be there behind them and supporting these people because they have lost so much. God, I never thought I'd be the one, though, that people were saying I'm so sorry to. You just never assume you're going to be the one. So have I thought about being here? Sure. Defending my own family? No. But unfortunately, that's what it is, right? It's not just defending and supporting someone else's. It's mine, it's theirs, it's all of ours, because we're supposed to be fighting this together, right? This is a heinous crime against Black Americans, right? I think we're forgetting to add the American to that, right? So this isn't a battle. It's not a battle. It's just asking for some coming together.
And final question. Marcus would go to that Tops often. That was his Tops.
That was his Tops.
That was his bus stop.
He was going to get some ribs and some stuff for barbecuing later that day. Everybody was expecting him to come home because he could throw down in the kitchen too, on the grill too. Everyone expected him to come home.
What would he be telling these lawmakers if he could go face to face with them?
Live up to what you claim. Live up to what you claim to represent. Live up to what you claim to be.
These families are very candid. They know what they want to see done here, and we'll have to see actually what happens. Michael?
Yeah, Claudine, it was remarkable to hear Dominique today and then other family members as well who didn't get the privilege to testify before members of Congress but still made the trip, and they were adamant they're going to be back. They are taking this on, and some of them saying, you have not heard the last from me. We're going to see action here, so something we'll follow closely, and we'll look for another live report from Claudine coming up at 6. Great work out there, my friend. Thank you very much.